lovelies, my name's Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit. So I have some highlighting palettes in front of me that I'm going to show you guys, and I'm thinking of using them for my Pan That Face palette for 2022. Now the reason I'm choosing a highlight palette over an actual face palette is because this year, if you follow me on my Instagram account, you'll see that I've been working on a blush palette, and I'm just kind of a little tired of focusing on blush. Obviously, I'm going to continue to wear it next year, but I don't want to focus on any specific blush. I just want to use what I have, at least for the first good part of the year. If I decide to roll in a blush to focus on later on, then I may do that. But I think once this year is over, I do want to take a break from feeling like I need to use only a specific blush or two. So I figured the next best thing would be a highlighting palette. So I think it would be a lot of fun, and these are the options that I have. So I do have 4 sitting in front of me right now. I did add one new one just recently, like within the last few minutes, because one of the original 3, I think I might take out of these options. I will still show it to you guys, but I'll just kind of explain why it may not really be in the running for next year anymore. But let's just dive into it. So in no particular order, the very first palette is by Cover FX. So this is the perfect highlighting palette in Fair to Light. Now with this palette, there are 2 cream shades and 2 powder shades, and I'm not a cream person, so I don't know if I would actually get much use on the cream shades at all, but these 2 powder shades, I know for sure I would. And just a little story about one of them in here, Moonlight, which are these 2, and then Celestial is these 2. I had a mini Moonlight highlighter a few years back, and I actually had hit pan on it before I knew what panning even was, and I remember it being such a bittersweet moment because I was excited, but I really enjoyed that highlighter, and I pretty much still used it, just not as much because I didn't want to get rid of it. I didn't want to use it all up. I finally did either last year towards the end or the beginning of this year, and I focused on it to make sure that I actually got it out of my collection. Not realizing that I've had this palette for a little while and I didn't know that the shade was actually in here. So once I found that out, only probably a couple of months ago, I was so excited. So I feel like those 2 powder shades would get a lot of use, and I could probably finish the 2 of them for sure before the end of 2022. Whether I end up working on the cream shades or not, I don't know. Probably not. But at the same time, if I don't, I'm not going to be too concerned about it. I'll consider this done once those powder shades are done. So next is the palette that I actually just threw in here as my 4th option a little bit ago. This is by The Balm, and it's the Luminizer Squad highlight palette. So one of the reasons why I just decided to throw this in here, all of these highlighting palettes are like my oldest out of my collection. But the other reason is mainly because there's so many different colors in here, and I could really, if I wanted to, use one per season pretty much. But if you can see, I have usage on this shade, a little bit on here, but nothing on these 2. Maybe I've dipped into them once, twice at most. But I feel like I would be able to use this up a lot more than I would have when I first purchased it, because as much I thoroughly enjoyed the Murray Luminizer highlighter, the other few, the colored ones, I wouldn't have gravitated towards much. Now I probably would, either mixing them with other highlighters, or I don't mind a pink highlighter, and I actually have a lavender blush that I'm looking forward to using, and I feel like that highlighter would go really well with it and do a whole monochromatic look. So I feel like I would enjoy this more now than I would have when I first purchased it, so that's one of the reasons why I would like to work on this next year. The other palette is by Smashbox, and this is the Spotlight palette in Pearl with the Casey Holmes collab. Now when I first purchased this latest shade is what I wore all the time. It's the only one that I touched. I didn't really reach for these shades. I feel like now, this past summer, and hopefully next summer, I would be able to get away with wearing those because I do get a lot more sun now than I did before. So I feel like those shades would actually be able to work well with my skin tone come summertime. And I do want to get good use on this. I don't want to declutter it. I do enjoy this, and when I swatch it, I find it super pretty, and I don't know why I don't use it. So this is also one of the reasons why this is in the top. And my palette that I'm not sure what I want to do with, it was, I don't know if it's my oldest highlighting palette, but it was one of the first palettes that I decided to throw in the options. And this is the Glow Kits by ABH. Now, who remembers these? And I don't know if there was one that was lighter than this. I think this is in that glow. And I do know that there's one that's darker than this. I did have that one. I did get rid of it. If there was one that's lighter, I do not have it anymore. And it's not that sugar one that's still out. It's one that would be discontinued. But if you look at these shades, this one's way too dark and I won't touch it. This one, I don't know if I could really get away with maybe in the summertime. These would be the only two that I would really wear, and it would be paired together. I do enjoy how that looks. I wore that actually not that long ago when I first pulled this out, and I did like it. I just haven't done it since. But I don't know if I would feel too burnt out using this palette for a whole year if I was to focus on it. A part of me wants to maybe just find a project that I can roll this into and only focus on it for a short amount of time and see what kind of usage I can get out of this. I would absolutely love to hit pan on these two and see how far I can go with that if I don't focus on this too much. I'm not too concerned about it. And then obviously this, we're just gonna pretend it's not there. So I don't know. I think that might be what I end up doing, is just using this in a project somewhere down the line next year just to get some good use on it, but not feel like I need to focus on it for a whole year and be burnt out by the end, because then that's no fun. So let me know what you think. What palette out of these 4 do you think I should pan, and what would you do with this? If you were in my shoes and or if you have a palette that you feel similar to, what have you done? I don't know if I really want to declutter it. I did a big declutter springtime last year, so it has been a while, but I did hold on to it because I want to get some use out of it. I don't necessarily want to declutter a product just because it's older. I do still want to feel like my collection's being used and like to actually be able to see that it's being used. So I think I'm going to focus mainly on these 3. Let me know which one out of these 3 you would pan, and then let me know what you would do with this. Like I said, I think I might just use this in a project instead of focusing on it for the whole year. So these are kind of my top 3. So down below, if you let me know your thoughts and opinions and all of that stuff, then when I go to choose my final product, I will post a video about that. So keep an eye out. I'll take everything into consideration, and hopefully I choose a good palette for next year. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all later. Bye.